Internet, what is good? I'm your engineer, Wolfie Gaines. I'm sweating out here in sunny Florida. Last year, I took you on a tour through my mobile engineer's backpack. Okay, you got to see all the gear that I use as a mobile engineer. Now today, Papa's got a brand new bag. We're going to be going through my camera gear. So if that interests you, stick around and celebrate some freedom because you're now in the mobile studio. It's been a Michigan minute, guys, doing some vacation videos behind the scenes, and I gotta say, Florida and Illinois with all of that sun was a great place to retest my camera rig with some new kit that I didn't have in my last gear tour. So let's check it out. Okay, so admittedly, I go on vacations and I take a bit of work with me, but it helps me try new things in new places. Generally speaking, running a mobile studio, everything I use has to be lightweight, versatile, and reliable. And admittedly, that last one can be a little bit tricky, but if done right, the results can be amazing. I typically use a dedicated gimbal rig and a handheld rig, but today we're going to go through the latter, even though I'm showing you both. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see that specifically. Hot enough for you out here. By using both types of setups, I can get much more immersed in the action, even if it changes on the fly. All without needing a whole crew or expensive gear complicating the whole vibe. Man, those festivities were clutch, but let's get to the gear, all right? Just let me get a sip of some Player's Punch. Delicious. Not telling you what's in that, but I will tell you what's in this camera bag, starting with the brains of the operation, all right? And that's your smartphone. Why I love shooting with this kind of rig. You don't need the latest and greatest, just the basics will get you started. If you saw my last video, we used a Motorola G7 Plus, okay? That's a 5-year-old phone at this point, barely costing $100. I liked it, certainly, but because reasons, we're going to be using an iPhone 10. Very respectable in the camera department, but not without its quirks, and we'll get to that. Now, let's take a look at the gear bag. Okay, this is from the Bauer brand, and it's a typical department store type of deal. Goes for about 20 bucks. Doesn't come with a strap. I happen to find this off of a old Nikon video about that coming pretty soon, but I love how this goes ahead and matches with the Bauer blue aesthetic. I typically just keep that small slim battery that you guys saw in the first video there, and let's go ahead and pop this open. I love that you can open it from two directions because you know, we got to sling it over your shoulder. A lot of things can happen and you don't want to necessarily just open everything onto the ground. But here's the inside, and this is pretty simple. We're going to go through this pretty quickly. We got the dead cat. For the outside, I keep two V2 Moment lenses, the 18mm wide angle and the 60mm telephoto. 60, right? Yep, 60mm. Keep the lens covers on those. These fit nicely in these back pockets right here. And of course, we have the small rig camera cage. And typically I have the Zetio tripod here. It's a metal tripod, but I got it right here on my gimbal here, holding it up, gives me extra stability. This is the tripod that actually comes with the gimbal. It's a little bit smaller, so that'll be the stand-in for here. And then we got two pockets on the side with some netting. Over here I keep the microphones. Of course, you guys know I always roll with multiple microphones. The Rode Video Micro, old and trusty, and the sacrificial lamb I have here, the Joby Wave-O-Mic. It's a really interesting piece. It doesn't sound nearly as good as the Rode Video Micro, but I have it when I don't want to put my favorite mic at risk. Over here, we have our camera cables, standard affairs. We've got our 3.5 millimeter to USB whatever adapter, and that's in lieu of not having headphone jacks. We all know how that goes. And we have an assortment of splitters, TRRS to headphone, and we've got a TRRS to TRS, and we've got the standard double TRS cable that comes with the Rode microphone. Standard affair, like I said, and that just allows us to cover a variety of cabling options to include some headphones. I got some AKGs here. Those are typically what I use to cancel out any sort of latency for using Bluetooth or anything like that. Now, going up here to the top, what I love about this bag is that it's got these straps, elastic straps that kind of keep everything in place for me nice and neat. I keep the bracket for the microphone up here. It actually fits both microphones. And the Manfrotto LumaMuse 3 LED, check that brightness out. Still going strong since the last video. And it fits nicely into these little straps here. It does tend to fall out sometimes, so I put that little bit of wire in between to keep it in place. And of course, another Bauer gizmo. This is our shutter button, and I have this Velcro nicely to the top of my small rig handle. I've taken the liberty of removing the side connector that allows you to screw it onto the side of the cage. In lieu of that, I have put Velcro on the back, and this mounts the grip straight to the frame, and it feels like a more traditional camera grip on that nicely. And this is pretty tough. That's pretty tough Velcro right there. That's not going anywhere. Not if you don't want it to, right? And I love that. This is just an ordinary sheet that I use for diffusing light in a pinch, and this is that connecting piece that I use when I want to put the handle on there properly. Makes the profile of the camera bigger, but obviously when you're out and about, you want to keep that profile as small as possible. And here is one of the newest additions to the entire kit, is the 62 millimeter Moment filter mount. Okay, this bad boy is super clutch, and it allows me to add ND filters and other types of filters to the front of these Moment lenses using rubber grommets. I mentioned this in the last video, but I didn't find out about this until after I had put the video together. But once I seen this, I was just like, yeah, I'm getting one of these. Anywho, but these grommets, they go straight into the back of the filter mount like so, and then you take your lens and you just push it straight in, and boom, there you do. You have a Moment lens with an ND filter on the front. Now, this particular ND filter is the big brother of the ND filter that I had in the last video. These are by Can-F Concepts, variable ND filters. And what I like about these is that they spin to give you your filter setting. This one goes up to 400, whereas this one went up to don't know. Anywho, now one thing that I did notice is that the bigger brother does not have a stop for the filter settings. You can just breeze past the minimum section and come around the globe to the maximum setting, whereas on this smaller one, they built in a stopping mechanism that allows you to go from min to max, no further than that. And there's some quirks to this one that I'm also going to get to that don't exist in this one as well. But we're going to cover that. It just threads right onto the mount like so. And when you go ahead and put it onto the cage, okay, this thing looks official. Look at that. I love it. You can kind of see me in the reflection here. But yeah, that's pretty much the bag. And now I'm gonna go out and take some test shots. I'm gonna show you some more stuff, and I'll go over some of the quirks that I found when testing these filters.
Okay, so back to the action. This family actually had a great idea of celebrating Juneteenth by showcasing influential people of the past. Feel free to pause and take in some Black history if you like, and leave one if you learn something new. I definitely learned a thing or two while going back and forth between my gimbal rig and my handheld rig. And while everything generally looked great, when I go handheld, there was a subtle, unintended orange tone that showed up. Kinda bugged me. So I paused for the cause to open an official investigation. After doing a few more side-by-sides, I started to suspect K&F's V&D of shifting the colors. Further Juneteenth shenanigans would confirm my suspicion.
Freedom Day, Juneteenth. And we even got a bounce house. Yeah. Just ignore the white heroes. That's actually Jon Stewart, that's Icon, that's Static Shock, that's Vixen, and that's Usain Bolt. Yep. Black heroes.
But with 2 more major stops on the holiday tour, it was back to the skies with a couple of problems and maybe a few solutions. For instance, a little gaff tape managed to lock down the lens and snag me a pretty solid night shot on 4th of July weekend. Doing that alleviated a lot of the vignetting and focusing issues from earlier, just in time for the finale. I was definitely getting some sharper shots and better bokeh. With the filter back on the lens, it was certainly blocking out all of that excess sunlight, but that pesky color shifting couldn't be helped. So the investigation continued. My lovely partner suggested that we talk to an informant that she planted at the local zoo, but his information wasn't free.
Are you ready to feed giraffes, Lil D?
And he was definitely the tall, dark, and silent type.
Yeah. Okay.
Get a
ready?
1 leaf? Sure. You ladies first.
Alas, even with bribery, this plant was fruitless. Detroiters could say that he hit a lick on us. But enough tigers, liars, and pears. My investigation came to a head back in the Motor City, where I discovered my colors were relatively balanced out in the overcast conditions. And appropriately so, because the African World Festival was back in town, and this would be the most colorful thing we had seen yet. And this little iPhone 10 captured this artwork beautifully up close. Fun fact, zooming in on this phone composites the images from both lenses. Found that out the hard way trying to zoom in on a group of tribal dancers and videoed the inside of my cage instead. But I did manage to witness some very interesting moves nonetheless. Generally speaking, I'm very fascinated about what you can get out of a smartphone camera these days and the implications that it has with a small-time creative. Now, while human error ultimately factors into any camera you decide to build, most things that come up can be dealt with a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of practice. However, I'm not sure exactly how to work with or around this particular filter, simply because it's not as reliable as its little brother. I mean, it does provide some shade for your camera lens, but I wouldn't push it too hard. But the filter mount, that thing works perfectly, checking off all the boxes easily. Swapping it is quick, it's very durable, and I can use a variety of filters. Exactly everything that you'd want to use on a universal rig like this. All in all, this rig is shaping up to be quite the Swiss Army knife for my professional needs. So I'll link everything down below for everything you saw today. And let us know in the comment section if there's anything else you want us to cover that'll keep your creativity in motion. Peace, guys.